I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. We're all in this together, and each of us individually needs to make that choice, to see or not to see the vision of what's real or to see illusions. You don't have to make any choice if you want to see illusions because you've already made that choice and forgot it. But you have to make an active choice to see the kingdom of heaven. Let go and let God. Okay, before we read our lesson, let's go back and look in our text reading. We're in chapter 7, Healing and the Changelessness of Mind. The body is nothing more than excuse me, most of you probably know, but if you're new, I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks, and we're here on Friday, February 23rd of 2024, lesson 54, and text reading is chapter 7, the gifts of the kingdom, section 5, healing and the changelessness of mind. The body is nothing more than a framework for developing abilities, which is quite apart from what they are used for. That is a decision. The effects of the ego's decision in this matter are so apparent that they need no elaboration. But the Holy Spirit's decision to use the body only for communication has such a direct connection with healing that it does need clarification. The unhealed healer obviously does not understand his own vocation. 2. Only minds communicate. Since the ego cannot obliterate the impulse to communicate because it is also the impulse to create, it can only teach you that the body can both communicate and create, and therefore does not need the mind. The ego thus tries to teach you that the body can act like the mind and is therefore self-sufficient. Yet we have learned that behavior is not the level for either teaching or learning, since you can act in accordance with what you do not believe. To do this, however, will weaken you as a teacher and a learner, because, as has been repeatedly emphasized, you teach what you do believe. An inconsistent lesson will be poorly taught and poorly learned. If you teach both sickness and healing, you are both a poor teacher and a poor learner. Paragraph 3. Healing is the one ability everyone can develop and must develop if he is to be healed. Healing is the one ability everyone can develop and must develop if he is to be healed. Healing is the Holy Spirit's form of communication in this world, and the only one he accepts. He recognizes no other because he does not accept the ego's confusion of mind and body. Minds can communicate, but they cannot hurt. The body in the service of the ego can hurt other bodies, but this cannot occur unless the body has already been confused with the mind. This situation, too, can be used either for healing or for magic. But you must remember that magic always involves the belief that healing is harmful. This belief is its totally insane premise, and so it proceeds accordingly. 4. Healing only strengthens. Magic always tries to weaken. Healing perceives nothing in the healer that everyone else does not share with him. Magic always sees something, in quotes, special in the healer, which he believes he can offer as a gift to someone who does not have it. He may believe that the gift comes from God to him, but it is quite evident that he does not understand God if he thinks he has something that others lack. 5. The Holy Spirit does not work by chance, and healing that is of him always works. Unless the healer always heals by him, the results will vary. Yet healing itself is consistent, since only consistency is conflict-free, and only the conflict-free are whole. By accepting exceptions and acknowledging that he can sometimes heal and sometimes not, the healer is obviously accepting inconsistency. He is therefore in conflict and is teaching conflict. Can anything of God not be for all and for always? Love is incapable of any exceptions. Love is incapable of any exceptions. Only if there is fear does the idea of exceptions seem to be meaningful. Exceptions are fearful because they are made by fear. The, in quotes, fearful healer is a contradiction in terms, and is therefore a concept that only a conflicted mind could possibly perceive as meaningful. A fearful healer is a conflict in terms. Fear does not gladden, healing does. Fear always makes exceptions, healing never does. Fear produces dissociation because it induces separation. Healing always produces harmony because it proceeds from integration. It is predictable because it can be counted on. Everything that is of God can be counted on because everything of God is wholly real. Healing can be counted on because it is inspired by His voice and is in accord with His laws. Yet if healing is consistent, it cannot be inconsistently understood. Understanding means consistency because God means consistency. Since that is His meaning, it is also yours. Your meaning cannot be out of accord with His, because your whole meaning and your only meaning comes from His and is like His. God cannot be out of accord with Himself, and you cannot be out of accord with Him. You cannot separate yourself from your Creator, who created you by sharing His being with you. 7. The unhealed healer wants gratitude from his brothers, but he is not grateful to them. That is because he thinks he is giving something to them and is not receiving something equally desirable in return. His teaching is limited because he is learning so little. His healing lesson is limited by his own ingratitude. His healing lesson is limited by his own ingratitude, which is a lesson in sickness. We want to be grateful. We want to find something to be appreciative for everyone in. Let beauty lead the way. Let the beauty of their beauty lead the way. Be thankful for it. His teaching is limited because he is learning so little. His healing lesson is limited by his own ingratitude, which is a lesson in sickness. True learning is constant and so vital in its power for change that a son of God can recognize his power in one instant and change the world in the next. That is because by changing his mind, he has changed the most powerful device that was ever given him for change, to change your mind. The most powerful device God gave us for change to the better, or change to the worse, I guess. The power of your thought, power of your choice. This in no way contradicts the changelessness of mind as God created it, but you think that you have changed it as long as you learn through the ego. This places you in a position of needing to learn a lesson that seems contradictory. You must learn to change your mind about your mind. Only by this can you learn that it is changeless. Paragraph 8. When you heal, that is exactly what you are learning. You're recognizing the changeless mind in your brother by realizing that he could not have changed his mind. That is how you perceive the Holy Spirit in him. Let's read that again. Get this. When you heal, that is exactly what you are learning. You're recognizing the changeless mind in your brother by realizing that he could not have changed his mind. That is how you perceive the Holy Spirit in him. It is only the Holy Spirit in him that never changes his mind. He himself may think he can, or he would not perceive himself as sick. He therefore does not know what his self is. If you see only the changeless in him, you have not really changed him. By changing your mind about his for him, you help him undo the change his ego thinks it has made in him. 9. As you can hear two voices, so you can see in two ways. One way shows you an image or an idol that you may worship out of fear, but will never love. The other shows you only truth, which you will love because you will understand it. Understanding is appreciation. Understanding is appreciation because what you understand, you can identify with. And by making it part of you, you have accepted it with love. That is how God himself created you, in understanding, in appreciation, and in love. The ego is totally unable to understand this because it does not understand what it makes, does not appreciate it, and does not love it. It incorporates to take away. It literally believes that every time it deprives someone of something, it has increased. I have spoken often of the increase of the kingdom by your creations, which can only be created as you were. The whole glory and perfect joy that is the kingdom lies in you to give. Do you not want to give it? 10. You cannot forget the Father because I am with you, and I cannot forget him. To forget me is to forget yourself and him who created you. Our brothers are forgetful. That is why they need your remembrance of me and of him who created me. Through this remembrance, you can change their minds about themselves as I can change yours. Your mind is so powerful a light that you can look into theirs and enlighten them, as I can enlighten yours. I do not want to share my body in communion because this is to share nothing. Would I try to share an illusion with the most holy children of the most holy Father? Yet I do want to share my mind with you because we are of one mind, and that mind is ours, the mind of Christ. See only this mind everywhere. See the mind of Christ everywhere, because only this is everywhere and in everything. It is everything because it encompasses all things within itself. Blessed are you who perceive only this, because you perceive only what is true. And our last paragraph, 11. Come therefore unto me and learn of the truth in you. The mind we share is shared by all our brothers, and as we see them truly, they will be healed. Let your mind shine with mine upon their minds, and by our gratitude to them, make them aware of the light in them. By our gratitude, our gratitude is going to let me just read it again. Let your mind shine with mine upon their minds, and by our gratitude to them, make them aware of the light in them. This light will shine back upon you and on the whole sonship, because this is its proper gift to God. He will accept it and give it to the sonship because it is acceptable to him and therefore to his sons. This is true communion with the Holy Spirit, who sees the altar of God in everyone, and by bringing it to your appreciation, He calls upon you to love God and His creation. You can appreciate the sonship only as one. This is part of the law of creation, and therefore governs all thought to see the oneness. Okay, well, let's go look at our lesson 54. Before we read it, let's quickly talk about what's going on around the world. Out of holidays and observances, curling is cool day, diesel engine day, and you know a diesel engine doesn't have spark plugs. The high compression and it ignites it. So just a little something about diesel engines. International Dog Biscuit Appreciation Day, International Stand Up to Bullying Day, National Banana Bread Day, and I'll put a good vegan banana bread recipe out of veganista.com. But it's a real simple recipe, and I'll include it. You can go look at it. I don't have time to read. I wrote it down as if, but you know, banana bread recipe is easy to do. And nice to something to use with your bananas that are over ripening. National Dog Biscuit Day, National Rationalization Day, Rationalize Day. We want to rationalize the kingdom of heaven if you want to rationalize something. National Tile Day. You know, tiles have been made for thousands of years. Pinocchio Day was released by Disney on this day in 1940. Play Tennis Day. Skip the Straw Day. And that's basically to remind us to not use single-use plastic items as much as possible for the environment. Skip the Straw Day. Tootsie Roll Day. World Understanding and Peace Day. And that actually was started on this day in 1905, and it's what began the Rotary Club in the Unity Building in Chicago. And then in our edible landscaping, we have the white fruiting Christina strawberry, native strawberry. And it says about the white fruiting Christina native strawberry is a native spring-bearing white strawberry. Plants run freely and should naturalize in dappled shade rock gardens and walled gardens, especially near the kitchen. Fruits are soft and sweet, space 1 foot circles, zones 5 through 7, maybe even in zone 8. And so, and it appears to be is it an everbearing? I think it is. Why did anyway, and the day neutral, I should have read this too yesterday. A day neutral strawberry will produce flowers and fruit even when temperatures at night are above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Originally, everbearers produced spring and fall, but not in summer. But that seascape would do both. It was a true everbearing. Okay, and then in Permaculture for Beginners by Carrie Mitchell, Design Your Permaculture Garden, Chapter 3, Rebuilding Damaged and Dead Soil. The next thing she recommends doing is green manures, which are plants that you plant and then chop them down, mow them down, turn them over. But you know, and I don't recommend turning them, but running a spring tooth through them to chop them up. You could do that if you're trying to work the soil. But that green manure is the plant. As it dies, it puts the nutrients back in the soil. Things that are commonly used are clover, rye, vetch, buckwheat, mustard, and fenugreek. Okay, well, let's go look at our lesson now. I am determined to see. That's our tomorrow's. These are the review ideas for today. Lesson 54. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing, and I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I'm determined to see. So, lesson 16, which is our first one today, I have no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power. They will either make a false world or lead me to the real one. But thoughts cannot be without effects. As the world I see arises from my thinking errors, so will the real world rise before my eyes as I let my errors be corrected. My thoughts cannot be neither true nor false. They must be one or the other. What I see shows me which they are. So are you thinking of truth? Well, then you're going to see truth in your world. If you're thinking of illusion, you're going to see illusions in your world. Do you see pain and death and sickness and all the horrors of the world? Well, that's because that's what's in your mind. Begin to start seeing a different inner picture, see what's real, and the world will change. I see no neutral things. What I see witnesses to what I think. What I see witnesses to what I think. If I did not think, I would not exist, because life is thought. I think, therefore I am. Was that Descartes that said that? So this is coming close to that. What I see witnesses to what I think. If I did not think, I would not exist, because life is thought. Let me look on the world I see as the representation of my own state of mind. Look at the world you see and realize that it's a representation of your own state of mind. I know that my state of mind can change, and so I also know the world I see can change as well. Wow. Lesson 18 review, which is number 3 for today. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. If I have no private thoughts, I cannot see a private world. Even the mad idea of separation had to be shared before it could form the basis of the world I see. Yet that sharing was a sharing of nothing. I can also call upon my real thoughts, which share everything with everyone. As my thoughts of separation call to the separation thoughts of others, so my real thoughts awaken the real thoughts in them. And the world my real thoughts show me will dawn on their sight as well as mine. Wow, we're all in this together. And now lesson review 19, which is number 4 for today. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I'm not alone in nothing. I am alone in nothing. Everything I think or say or do teaches all the universe. A son of God cannot think or speak or act in vain. He cannot be alone in anything. It is therefore in my power to change every mind along with mine, for mine is the power of God. And then lesson 20, our last review, number 5, I am determined to see. Recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts, I am determined to see. Recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts, I am determined to see. I would look upon the witnesses that show me the thinking of the world has been changed. I would behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love to replace fear, laughter to replace tears, and abundance to replace loss. I would look upon the real world and let it teach me that my will and the will of God are one. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's starting to get into a little warmer weather. But thank you so much for joining me, though, today. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 And our word for peace in Arabic is Salaam. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. Salaam.